This is Blackstone Joe, and you're listening to Slick Talk.
If I say I'm an oil man, you will agree.
There's the stink of oil about him.
Hello and welcome into episode 122. I am your host, Blackstone Joe, and I'm glad you're here. I'm sitting down to record today's show after a busy day of report writing. You know we're always busy here at Blackstone Laboratories, but especially during Oshkosh Week. That's right, we have a few members of our team at the air show, both at a booth in a hangar to connect with customers, hopefully meet some new ones, tell people about what we do, but also we have the president of Blackstone Laboratories who leads a talk about oil analysis, everything you need to know, as well as our senior analyst Amanda is leading an oil analysis discussion this year as well. I hope you're able to either stop by the booth, say hello, meet some of our newer writers, or connect with Ryan, Amanda, any of our other analysts while you are at the air show. If you ran into us while you went to Oshkosh, don't hesitate to reach out. Let us know who you talked to, if you learned anything new, or maybe you're brand new to oil analysis and you have specific questions or interests. Feel free to reach out either by connecting with us on social media. You can do that on Instagram, Facebook, or of course, you can email bstone@blackstone-labs.com. It's fitting that I'm recording this episode in particular during Oshkosh Week in that it focuses on a report that I wrote for an aircraft. So this one in particular, I just want to detail the Blackstone approach overall, because I think that this particular report, the customer, the sample, everything surrounding the context in which the sample was taken, it all fits within the framework of what I think makes Blackstone unique. So we have a comprehensive look at our approach and how we handle your sample, what we do to complete a report that is tailored to you and your experience, and how we can reach out, connect with the customer to make sure we deliver a report that is not only accurate, but as helpful as possible for their maintenance situation. So to kick things off, this sample in particular arrived from an engine where we had maintained history under the tail number that was added to this latest owner's account. So I'll stop right there and talk about why the tail number matters. You want to include the tail number because that will be the unit ID for the aircraft that you're sampling. We keep these unit IDs specific to the tail number so that way when aircraft change hands, as they so often do, we can keep track of that sample history. We want sample history because we want to develop trends. With trends, you're able to see how things change from one oil run to another, be it in the form of how the engine is wearing, whether or not there's contamination, whether it's new or a recent overhaul. Trends will be helpful in telling you what's going on. So in this particular case, we are able to transfer existing history to a new owner's account, sample history they might not have even known was out there. So if you are in a situation where you're sending in an aircraft sample and you're new to this, be sure to start with including that tail number. Now, after adding the history to the customer's account, we are able to see in the most recent sample that they sent along a significant jump in wear. So again, having those trends in hand was very important in this case in particular because we were able to see that the engine was making a lot more metal than it was historically. And as you've heard me say before on this show, if something changes in the used oil, there's a reason. In this case, we were able to do some digging and come up with one that was not a problem. Initially, when I wrote the comment, I had to, of course, acknowledge the possibility of the increased wear showing the engine making more metal than it should. But there was also a big jump in silicon. So this could go either way. There could be a problem involving excess dirt, debris getting past the air filter, causing metals, especially those in the cylinder area, to spike. Aluminum coming from pistons, chrome, rings, iron, cylinder liners. It's certainly possible that we're looking at an engine wearing heavily due to contamination, but that's not a given. Not if there's an alternative explanation, such as recent work and installation of new parts. So before writing a cautionary report where we didn't have all the background info at the ready, I decided to reach out to the customer. I was able to do so because the customer left behind a phone number. That's something I also want to encourage all of you to do, especially if it is an aircraft. Whenever we look at a sample, we want to be able to reach out, especially if there is evidence of a mechanical problem. Sometimes they can go either way, like I'm talking about with this instance, where we see results that can be typical for break-in. They can be typical of extra wear and dirt contamination, let's say. And of course, you have the instances where it's clearly so far gone. You have metals approaching thousands of parts per million. And in that case, even for a wear-in situation, it's not going to look good. So it's not to say that we can't see what is an obvious problem, but often there are those situations that can go either way. But in any case, whether we are talking about a situation that can go either way or one where there's an obvious problem, having that contact info at our disposal is very important because we want to be able to reach out. In cases where it's an aircraft, it's essential to get you the news as quickly as possible, and we want to give you a report that has all the information possible to help reach a conclusion. So having a phone number as well as the email address where we will send the report, unless you also need a hard copy through the mail, providing that info on the owner's end not only ensures that you're going to get your report, but you're going to get a report that is completed with all of the necessary background info. So that way we can tell you what's going on and what the next steps will be in your maintenance plan. So before I completed this report, I gave the customer a call. I find that usually making the call is the way to go because not only is it essential if we're delivering, the bad news, but I found that customers out there are really appreciative of the analysts in the building taking that extra step and not just sending a report saying, it could go either way, might be wear in, might be extra wear. Making the call is a show of dedication to you and the time you've taken to send us a sample, wait on the report. So when we make the call, we always appreciate you picking up. And we also appreciate how kind a lot of you are when you take that call, because we understand you're taking time out of your day as well to speak with us. But it's all in the name of producing a great report, an informative set of results. And in this case, making that call led me to some interesting information that really played a factor in the results that we obtained. I learned from the owner about new parts and repairs involving the valves. Specifically, a few of the valves were lapped before sending in that sample. As such, an increase in metals such as nickel from the valve guide area made a whole lot of sense. And we wanted to know about repairs like that because in this particular engine type, exhaust valve guide issues are pretty common. So knowing about work specifically involving the valves as opposed to them simply wearing poorly, that was key. So after calling and reaching out, speaking with the customer, I was able to learn about repairs that really keyed into the results. Instead of immediately suggesting a bore scope of the valves, assuming that there must be a burnt valve, something causing the engine to wear quite a bit more than average, instead we can look for signs of successful break-in. We can look for the operator to mainly monitor whether or not operation is smooth, no rough starts or hesitation. If everything is smooth on their end, there's reason to anticipate progress in the higher levels that we noted. And of course, you still want to check back and make sure that progress manifests, but the report, specifically the comment contained therein, has an entirely different tone and outlook, knowing the context of wherein and all that can come with it. So that call in particular was crucial. And then, with all that info in place, I was ready to write the report. Writing the report is the last thing that we do in the process from the analyst perspective. First, we want to look at the data. Make sure it's good, go through the spectral results, the physical properties, make sure we have all the clerical details in order before we even get to the comment. Because having the clerical details from the existing history I talked about previously to looking on the slip for any mention of repairs or recent work, that's all done before we go to write the comment and assume what's going on. Your analyst will see the notes you leave on the oil information slip. So be sure to make mention of any recent repairs, any modifications, so on and so forth. And if it's a situation where someone is taking the sample for you and you're not sure if they wrote everything necessary on the slip, then you can also feel free to give us a call, or you can even email the bstone@blackstone-labs.com address. All that information keys into our approach when we sit down and write the report. Because yes, it is an analyst who is actually looking at the data. There's no AI, there's no chat GPT here. We are instructed how to go through the process of writing a report, and that includes tailoring it to that engine and that customer. So reports that are addressed to an individual owner can vary from those addressed to, say, an FBO or, whatever the situation is. We write the comment with the goal of being as applicable as possible in the way we deliver those results and explain what's going on. So one that is written to owner who is brand new to the maintenance process, might carry with it not different results. It's not as if we're not going to report what looks like a potential problem, but taking into account the customer's experience level keys into making the comment as useful as possible, containing as much information as they would need in order to proceed with an informed maintenance plan. So all that to say, there's nothing generic about the comment. It is all specific to you and what you're sampling. And as a bonus to the report, to the analyst experience that I've detailed so far, when I was on the phone with this particular customer before letting them go, they let me know that they had an issue with their billing setup. They needed to update their payment information, and they didn't know how to do it online. So I was able to take care of that for them. Right after closing out the report, just going over to their customer page, updating their information, and then sending them on their way. When you do give us a call, you're not going to be stuck talking with an automated, system to get through, to deal with billing, to deal with an analyst. If you just call, it couldn't be easier to get a hold of an analyst. And not only that, we can help you with other matters along the way if that's necessary. So don't feel as if it's intimidating in any sort of way to give us a call and handle whatever it is in terms of your account, your reports, updating a card. We make it as easy as possible. And you're communicating with someone who, if they don't have the answer, someone else who does is right around the corner. There's not a frustrating administrative system where only a couple people know how to do the specific task you might be interested in. There's a lot of overlap between us. So whether you have any questions, comments, concerns relating to your sample and your report, whatever we do at 416 East Pettit, don't hesitate to reach out. We like to be helpful that way. So I hope today's episode gave you even more insight than you might have had already about the Blackstone approach. And I also hope you're able to hang out with us for a bit at Oshkosh. Again, let us know if you're able to connect with any of our analysts in the hangar, or if you're able to attend any of the presentations featuring Ryan or Amanda. Hopefully you're able to meet with us and hang out for a bit. As always, thanks to all of our customers for keeping us busy and all of our listeners for tuning in. This is Blackstone Joe, signing off.
The Slick Talk podcast is powered by Blackstone Laboratories. If you're ready to start your oil analysis journey, visit blackstone-labs.com to order your free test kit.